Welcome to the Irish Snug podcast. All right, welcome to the Irish Snug. Today we're joined by a woman who truly embodies the bridge between New York and Ireland. Born in New York City and raised in Castlebar, County Mayo, she is an All-Ireland champion, a master of music therapy, and the 2023 Mayo Woman of the Year. Whether she's performing at Lincoln Center or mentoring nearly 100 students at the Ashland Community Center in Yonkers, New York, her mission is the same: keeping our culture alive. Dawn Doherty, welcome to the Irish Snug.
Thank you, Tim. Cousin.
How's everything going?
Good.
I have to also add that we are cousins. Now, you go back to Ireland quite often.
Yes.
Right. How long have you been in New York?
About 12 years.
12 years now.
Yeah, I moved over about 12 years ago, yeah.
So you were born in New York City, but at what point did you go back to Ireland?
So I was born here in New York, and then my mom and dad wanted my brother and I to go to school at home. So we moved home when I was about 4. So went to school in Castlebar and then went to college and worked at home for a couple of years before I moved out here. So yeah, here about 12 years.
Okay, so now growing up in Mayo, this is where you were, I think you were an Irish dancer and you also did music. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I started off doing Irish dancing in Castlebar with Dot Redmond, who has since passed away, but they had the Redmond School of Irish Dancing. And I did dancing for a good while. And I would spend my summers here in New York, so we would go to all the dancing feshes everywhere. And then I kind of got into it a little bit more, and my parents would, bring me to Florida and bring me to Canada, and I was doing the nationals and all that. So
you did the, I guess, the Mid-Atlantic Oireachtas?
Yeah, I think, it's been a really long time, but I remember going to Florida for the nationals.
Yeah.
And I did well in that. And then when the new costumes were coming out, the whole, craziness with all the designs and, more intricate designs and all that, my mother went and bought me a beautiful new costume. And then a few weeks later, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I decided no.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so she was none too pleased. So I had a choice. You either keep your music and your singing, and then you can give up the dancing, but you can't give up both. So
okay.
I think I made the right choice.
Was that before all the wigs? Or did you have wigs?
No, we had to.
You had to curl your hair.
It was actually awful. We had to. My mother would roll my hair in these horrible little rollers the night before, and put a little hat thing on your head like a net to hold it all together, and you have to sleep in it, and it was just so uncomfortable. It was horrible.
Yeah, a lot of work. A lot of work. My daughter Jessica was an Irish dancer for many years, but those were the wig years.
Oh, okay, that's it's much handier now that they wear the wigs and all that. But
I think some of the dancers, I think it depends on. There's a lot to it. I think from what I understand, I'm just a lay person. I don't know anything about Irish dance, but I think, depending on a girl's posture and different things, there are some schools now that are their girls are dancing without a wig.
Okay.
They're doing it. I guess it depends on the dancer, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think Riverdance changed everything. You know what I mean? When that just Irish dancing just kind of took to a new level then after Riverdance.
Yeah.
But I just I love watching Irish dancing and enjoy seeing all the kids dance and everything. But I just I
loved it. I wish it was still, Jess she's older now, so she's they call it retired from dancing. So music became your
music. Yeah, I started off in Castlebar with John Kilkenny, doing the tin whistle, and then I continued with tin whistle, and then my dad and mom was like, oh, let's try some other instruments. So I did piano, and my grandmother was from Belmullet, and kind of introduced me to the sean singing, and Sheenahan, God rest her soul, lived across the street from me and taught me an awful lot of my Irish singing and Gaeilge and everything. So yeah, I tried different instruments, the baron, tin whistle, did a little bit on the flute, tried the piano accordion, the button accordion. I tried everything. I think the tin whistle is the most handy, so you just put it into your bag and away you go.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
I play the bagpipes, and it's not quite that easy.
Yeah. So yeah, I just became immersed in the Irish music scene at home, and we were very involved in our local branch of Ceoltas at home in Castlebar, and we used to do straw boy events. We used to, do perform at all sorts of events throughout the county, and did tours. Went to France and Germany with Ceoltas, and so I had a great time growing up in Castlebar. With my music and my singing. It took me a lot of places and met an awful lot of friends through that. And some great times at home with the music and the singing, for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
And then you decided to go to college for music as well, right?
Yeah. I went to the University of Limerick. So that was a 4-year course. And that was great fun. We were playing a lot, met a lot of friends, still friends today. Did a lot of performances, I guess, and then I came out to New York and did a semester with Mick Maloney down at NYU. That was a lot of fun. And then after that, I did a master's, a 2-year course in the University of Limerick. I stayed to do a master's in music therapy, which I loved. And I did work in Cherry Orchard Hospital in Dublin with patients with neurological disabilities and patients with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I really kind of zoned in on that, and I really loved, working with the people that I worked with in Dublin. It was amazing experience.
Let's talk a little about the music therapy. What patients with dementia, there's does Irish traditional music, this is what I've read, that mm-hmm. It kind of it seems to unlock memories and emotions for these people.
Absolutely.
Right? Is that what you find?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, every patient is different, and presents with a different diagnosis, and there's assessments that are done with each patient and stuff. But in speaking with their families, families that I worked with up in Dublin, they would tell me about kind of songs or music that would have been, played in their house growing up, when they were been raised or whatever in Dublin. And so those songs were incorporated into the music therapy sessions, and also the families were allowed to sit in on the sessions if they chose to. And they just found it amazing that, one lady in particular, she didn't know who her family were, couldn't tell you the time of day, and certain songs would bring her back and would trigger a memory. We'd sing a song that she would have recognized from her childhood, and then she would, recall a certain memory of that time, and the family just thought that was just amazing, and it really...
I totally can see that. I totally could understand that.
Yeah, I actually I do music therapy here in New York with patients privately, and one lady had told me, we were singing a particular song, and she said to me, well, that's where I met my husband, was on the ocean in Massachusetts. So this brought a whole big conversation then after the song, that she remembered she had met her husband when she was 16, and that they went on a date a couple of days later. It was just amazing. It was a special moment that she just recalled meeting her husband through the lyrics of this song, and that she was able to recall.
That's amazing. It's amazing how the brain works like that. And I had one of my podcast guests, his name was Dermot. He told me about, there was a man who had dementia terribly, spoke fluent English, his whole life, but he also was Irish speaking. Mm-hmm. And when he fell into this dementia, nobody could communicate with him. But then somebody came in the room that spoke Irish, and he was able to have a conversation. Now, this is a person that spoke English his whole life, but didn't understand a word of it at this point. But he was able, as soon as somebody came in and spoke Irish, he was able to speak the Irish. I think that's pretty amazing as well.
Amazing, yeah. And it definitely, my own grandfather, excuse me, he had dementia, and he was, he would become very agitated and aggressive at times. And it just became to the stage where it was very unsafe to have him in the house, and he had to be put into a nursing home. But music therapy also, promotes like relaxation. The patients would, just kind of get into almost like a state of like that they're just completely relaxed or even falling asleep. But during that, while they're resting, like this one particular person that I had during the week, the eyes are closed, resting. They're not sleeping. They're still very much aware of what you're singing, and then will join in the words. I would stop in the middle of the song, or in the middle of the verse of the song, whatever, and then she will just join right back in with the words of the song. It's quite amazing, yeah.
Yeah, that is. It is. Now, is that something that you offer through your website? Like, do you have?
Well,
Or
so
is that
I work with children with special needs, which I have a class at the Ashton Irish Community Centre, and people can contact me on my website. The work that I do with elderly patients, people can contact me, directly. My number is on the website as well.
okay?
So that would be private work, but the classes for the children that I do at the Ashland Centre, that's on a weekend, and I
And
work.
that's all music and singing, right?
Yep, music therapy for children with autism. The majority of the children are nonverbal, and they, just in speaking to their parents, how music therapy just really, really helps them, and how they are after a class. When they come into a class, they're in a certain way, and when they come out, they're leaving more relaxed, happy, and how they just love coming to music once a week. So unfortunately, music therapy is not available in many schools. Children with autism, they receive their speech therapy, their occupational therapy, physical therapy, but music therapy is not always available. So I do fundraisers actually for my children with special needs, and all of these children, excuse me, receive scholarships to attend weekly music therapy sessions. And just as I say, in speaking to the parents, it just means so much to them that they can access this resource outside of school, and that their children just love music so much and just love coming on a weekly basis. So I'm just delighted that my fundraisers can offer this kind of assistance to parents, because even outside of school, if children are getting speech, OT, physical therapy, it's very expensive, and it's can be a financial burden on parents. So my fundraisers offer these scholarships to the families that they can reserve these get these services for free.
And they can find all that information on your website. Yeah.
They can contact me through the website.
You also have music lessons for younger kids, and just regular music lessons,
Yeah.
not associated with like therapy.
Right, so my music school, I teach music at St. Mark's Lutheran School. I'm the music teacher there. And then outside of that, I have my own separate music school. And we have a music Munchkins class, which is for the tiny tots, the 3 and 4 year olds, which is very cute. That's at the Ashton Centre on a weekend as well. Then we have like the older kids. So they're all kind of in different classes. So then we have tin whistle and singing classes combined. We have guitar classes for piano. Then Frankie McCormick teaches banjo and mandolin classes. Then we have a singing group, which is called the McLean Avenue Singing Club for Adults, which is a great class. It's on a Wednesday evening, and it's a lot of fun. And then we teach the Ashton Irish Centre Cayley Band and Ballet Group, which is held in the Ashton Centre during the week. So the Cayley Band classes have actually been opened up to adults now as well. So adults can come and join that class as well. And then do I teach online as well, private classes for adults, whistle classes and singing classes. So there's a lot going on.
So I had tried to get a bunch of the FDNY bagpipers to start taking tin whistles with you, and we did have a few lessons there,
Yeah, it was
but
fun.
it got a little logistically because everybody in our band lives we have people from upstate New York and people out on Long Island,
Yeah.
so it was just a little bit logistical.
Yeah.
It was a little tough, but I think that you have this online. That's something I'm interested in. I want to do the online
Yeah.
lessons. So we'll talk about that later. I definitely want to get back into doing the tin whistle again.
Yeah. You were doing really well at it. Yeah,
And
there's a lot
remember, I
going
was the star. I think I was the star student, wasn't I?
I think you were. I think you could have been. Yeah,
So
it's definitely a busy time. There's so many classes. It's just, there's so much going on. It's hard to if there was, maybe 8 days in a week, 9, that would help.
yeah, that would be better, right?
Yeah.
There's never enough
There's
time.
there's a lot going on. Yeah.
Never enough time.
Yeah.
So, how about sessions? Do you with your students, children or adults? Do you have like regular dates that you actually meet up, maybe in Woodlawn or something like that for
Yeah,
a
so
session?
I mean, I would honestly love to play more sessions than I'm able to be quite honest. I just don't have the time. I have my own little boy who's very active and doing his own lessons and 100 different activities going on. But it's a lot. But I wish I could do more sessions. But the session that I do get to is at the Tavern on McLean with your buddy Denny McCarthy
Denny,
and
yeah.
Frankie
Denny's
McCormick.
going to come on the show. He's going to come
Oh,
on the
great!
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's on a Sunday from 4 to 7. It's a brilliant session. Denny and Frankie are so welcoming to the kids, and so if I do get to a session, that's where it is. Sometimes I play there myself. I'll be there this Sunday from 4 to 7. The staff are amazing there. Everybody, it's built up such a following. Denny and Frankie and the lads have just built up such a following. Everybody loves going on Sunday. So when my kids are around, they come in and they play a few tunes or sing a few songs, and it's such a great way for the kids to experience a session. And that Denny and Frankie are just so welcoming to the kids. They're so encouraging, and the kids just feel so good about themselves to get up and sing. And we're just trying to do our bit to promote our Irish language and culture and heritage. And last night we played at where did we play? At Dunwoody golf course, excuse me, in Yonkers, and Chad and Mike Morley and all of the lads from the AOH, they're so welcoming to the kids. We put on a big performance there with the Ashton Cayley Band and Ballet Group and kids from my music school, and we had dancers, and it was fabulous. So I think the more performances that the kids do, to be quite honest, the more they enjoy it. Like one of the little boys said to me yesterday, he just turned 12, and he said to me just before he was leaving, he's like, that was so cool, like to sing and to play. And he was like, I really enjoyed that. And I was telling his mom, Orla, who's in my adult tin whistle class, and that just made her so happy. She was like, that's what it's all about, for the kids to have fun and enjoy it and make friends and go to all these performances. And Sunday we were at the Eastchester Parade, and Brendan Lynch from the Eastchester Parade Committee had us on a horse and cart, and the kids were loving it. We were singing a few songs and going through the Eastchester Parade. It was
It's
great.
great that you give these kids those opportunities.
We've
And that's what's
Yeah,
needed.
I mean, honestly, we've had some amazing experiences with my kids. We have sang outside on the grounds of the Grand Ole Opry, and the girls keep asking me to go back there, the singers. We've sang in Carnegie Hall, which was absolutely unbelievable. We've been to Mayo with the kids twice, done the Home to Mayo events. They've been up to Cape Cod. They've been so many places, and it's brilliant. And for a lot of kids, I have a lot of kids that would be very shy and would be very intimidated getting up on stage. And now that they've done multiple performances, they're up on that stage and they love it and they want to be up there, and it's a great confidence boost for these kids as well, just to get up and do one or two songs. Then maybe the next time they come, they might do another one.
I always thought that was a great thing about Irish dance when my daughter was doing is all these girls are getting up on stage. Sometimes it's with another dancer when they're dancing at the same time, but when they get up to the higher levels, they're dancing by themselves, especially when they're doing their set dances. And there's hundreds of people in the crowd,
Yeah.
but they're getting up there and they're doing that, and that creates such a great confidence boost, And these kids take that away with them once they go into college, and maybe they have to do public speaking and stuff like it. All applies. So parents should know that, because it is definitely a very good way of doing it. Now, do you have how does enrollment seem these days? Is it the same as it's been over the last 20 years or 10 years?
Yeah, it always fluctuates. You know what I mean? Like, so for our Ceilidh band that we had, we lost 10 members of the Ceilidh band. They all went to college. But then they come back, for performances, and like one of them came back last night to join the performance, Paddy Hennessy, and play the guitar, and it's just so lovely when they come back. And one of my other students, Hannah, she's second year in nursing, and she's reached out to me a couple of times and said, something that will remind her of the classes. Oh, hey, I'm going to be in Galway next semester doing studying abroad, and like, where is a place to see Irish music? So that to me, it's, if you've given these kids a foundation with the Irish music and stuff, it's something that they'll carry with them through life, like a dancer.
And that's got to make you feel. That's got to make you feel really good.
It does, and it just means that you're doing the right thing, and we try. You know what I mean? We try to promote as much as we can. I do have like waiting lists for private lessons. I just can't fit as many people in as I would like, but we have, our group classes going on, and it's definitely, it's definitely, booming, I guess, the Irish music scene, and kids wanting to learn instruments, but even adults, like, but my adult singing class, I have singers, so two in particular had never heard of a flaciole before, and I encouraged them. I was like, come out to the Flat. This was last year out in Persephone. And I said, come out to the Flat. I said, and, enter the singing. Why not? Like, let's learn a few Shannon songs, traditional songs, and why not? So they did. And they qualified to go home to the Flat last year in Wexford. They'd never been to an All-Ireland Flat before. And they went over and they sang. And these are two people that had never sang in a competition before. But just with a little bit of encouragement, they said, okay, we'll give it a go. And they had the best time. And so much so that they're going to the Flat this year in Belfast, whether they compete or they just go for the fun, whatever they're going. They just had the best time.
What are some of the traditional songs that are being sung?
God, there's so many. And there's that distinction, between songs that are acceptable for the Flat and songs that are not. So, you really just hope that when somebody is getting singing lessons, that the teachers are aware of the song selection. You can't go in and sing like I Tell Me Ma or, the Galway Shawl or Molly Malone. Like, they're not acceptable Flat songs, you know what I mean?
How
So
about
there's
like
different
Galway
levels.
It was sad to hear about Dolores Keane passing away.
Oh my God, yes.
Too
She
young.
was an icon, and
Yeah.
she was just the voice of Ireland, really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she just had such a distinctive voice, and I grew up listening to her, and she was just
An
it
icon.
was just unbelievable. Yeah, and her
Yeah.
brother Sean, actually, another phenomenal musician and singer. We were so blessed the time that we took the kids home a couple of years ago for the Home to Mayo event. He gave the kids a workshop in singing. And like, I was just saying to them, I was like, do you guys realize how lucky you are to get a singing workshop from Sean Keane? And he was so sweet and generous and encouraging to the kids. Like, he was just fabulous.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dolores will be so missed, but her songs are just going to live on. You know what I mean?
Would
Like,
Galway Bay be one of the songs that people would sing in? Would that be acceptable or
no,
no?
no. Galway Bay would be one of her iconic songs, you know what I mean?
Right.
But not an acceptable song for the flat. So
So
the
can you
songs
give
for the
me a
flat
couple of
are like
examples?
traditional Shano songs. Like, you have the age groups under 12, under 15, under 18, and senior. And, as the age group it gets higher, the songs would be at a higher level. So for the little ones that are starting out, like I have little ones that'll be starting off. You're talking 6, 7 years of age. You know what I mean? There is a book that Kyothas have out with acceptable songs, which I think I might have here. So, like, for the little ones, the Banks of the Roses, that would be lively. So for the under 12 competition, you would have two songs. The kids would have two songs: a slow song and a lively song. So this is the book here, actually. Ag Munu Haran Traditionta, Aroniac Traditionta, Teaching Traditional Singing, Considerations and Guidelines, compiled by Kyothas Kilthuran. That's the book.
Okay, I'll put a picture of that on there.
And it gives, like, in Irish as well, the songs. But just to give you an example, for the little ones, like Brian O'Lynn, the Banks of the Roses, and it can be for like under 15s as well. But there's loads of different, the Parting Glass, that would be kind of a well-known, the Rocks of Bawn, the Shores of Loch Bran, Loch Shielan's Side. So, and again, there's a whole big list of
Okay,
songs that are,
I'm going to check that out.
acceptable. But Porrick McCree, Istor McCree, Loch Erin Shore, there's loads. Dona Logue.
And does some of the kids? That's one last thing I wanted to talk about was the Irish getting into the Guelga. That seems to have a very, very big revival I'm seeing at the moment. Matter of fact, my next guest is going to be. Are you familiar with Molly? Irish with Molly? Molly Gadara. She's from Dublin.
Okay.
She teaches the Irish language. She's got a program online, and it's very, very. I mean, she's got a lot of students. Once I do the podcast with her, I will send you a link to that.
That'd be great, yeah.
And it's going to be a good one. And we're going to talk about how the language is really being. There's a big push, a big revitalization, I think, with Guelga. So I think, and I'm trying to learn it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, everyone, we're all so proud of our culture and our heritage, and, we want to continue to pass that on to the next generation, especially when you're living away from home, and you're trying to promote that over abroad and over here. And I'm sure, and there's so many different countries around the world. There's so many Irish people living, and a lot of people would be teaching. But as you say, online classes is very helpful as well for people that, if there's Irish teachers at home that are doing these classes, it's great, and it's definitely, there is a competition in the Flacchiol, Cora Gaelga, where children, and there's different age groups. I don't think there's the senior age group. I'm not 100% sure about that. But they go in and have the conversation in Irish, and it's just lovely. And yeah, you're right, there's a big revival of it. Everybody wants to be able to speak a couple of fuckle, you know what I mean?
Are you fluent?
I was years ago, and I can speak Irish, I sing in Irish, whatever. But when you're not doing it on a constant basis, you know what I mean? So my grandmother was from the Gaeltacht area in Balmullet, and they spoke a lot of Irish in the house,
That would be part of the Gaeltacht, right?
Correct, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I should be speaking it more on a daily basis, but Nobody here in my house. My mother
Speaks
would
it.
have a bit of Irish. My dad doesn't have any. He can say pencil.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, he doesn't. He wouldn't have a word of it, and he says that too. It would be nice to be able to speak a few words.
Well, one of the things the girl Molly, I've heard her say before. I'm really excited to have her on the podcast. One of the things she says is how it's kind of, she sprinkles it. It's not like how the old days where it was kind of compulsory to go when you were in school. It was like you had to learn this, and you had
Yeah,
it was kind of shoved down your throat
yeah,
in a way. But now, like, people want to learn it,
yeah,
and it's good to just sprinkle things out. Like yesterday, I was actually trying to do a couple of phrases, for St. Patrick's Day, but I think the more you use it, and the better it would
and I
be if you
think as
had.
well you can teach it in a kind of very fun and creative way now for children and adults. So I had my friend Orla Walsh. She's the Irish language officer for the Mid Atlantic region, and she was doing some Irish language classes, and she just had a great way about her of teaching in the class. Made it fun for everybody, you know what I mean, that people
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah,
coming back into the class. It
yeah.
depends as well on your teacher, to be honest. Like I
As with
remember,
anything.
yeah, I remember one of my friends saying to me, like when he was growing up at home in Ireland, that his Irish teacher was just not a good teacher, and wasn't. Nobody kind of was drawn to the teacher, you know what I mean, and kind of didn't really want to be in the class, like whichever way that teacher was teaching the the subject. And it's kind of, he has regrets in that way, that if only my teacher was a bit more, you know, I guess competent, or I don't know who the
Yeah.
teacher was, but
That's with
um,
any teaching.
yeah,
You know, back in I went to Catholic school
hmm,
almost my whole life. My last 2 years I went to public school, high school, but the people, we were afraid of the nuns.
yeah,
There was a discipline there that was.
yeah,
I now don't get me wrong. I think there's value to a certain level of discipline.
yeah,
I believe in a certain level of discipline, but where is that line?
right,
And that line was crossed a lot,
yeah,
and people were afraid. If your math teacher was yelling and screaming, why would you want to learn it?
yeah.
You gotta, if you're gonna pick a subject to learn, you gotta love the subject.
Yeah, and I think like when children get a good foundation, from the very beginning, it makes all the difference, you know what I mean? And,
Mhm.
I remember, well, I know, my mom and my dad, what they talked about their childhood education, as you say, it was kind of scary what they went through, and
Yeah,
almost afraid to go to school,
that's right.
and my dad told me so many stories. He was a bit wild now, to be fair, but like he would almost like hide down a field, he said, or hide up on top of a tree, you know and skip school some days, just not wanting to go in, just afraid of the teachers, and just
Hmm.
had no interest in school whatsoever. So
So in that regard, though, I think it was a time where they just didn't know any better.
yeah,
I don't think there was, what was there studies on this is a better way to teach, or
hmm,
like with
that was just
I,
the way.
it was just the way. And I
Yeah,
just, obviously time has gone by, and I think we've learned our lesson with that, but hopefully anyway.
hmm,
Um, so I'm going to tell you what got me wanting to learn the Irish language. Now, it goes back a long time ago, and then I just forgot about it. But probably 30 years ago, I was in Galway, in Connemara,
hmm,
and I met this old timer. The guy was, I would have thought he was 80 years old back then, but we went out to a pub and we were singing, and he was singing all these songs in Gaelic, and Irish. They actually, he called it Gaelic, but he was singing these songs in Irish, and it took. He wrote "O Rosa de Hawaii." I don't even know if I said that right, but the song, right? he sang that, but he sang probably four or five different songs in Irish. And I said, wow, I want to learn how to do, but it was impossible at that time to, that's before the internet and all that. So how would I possibly learn how to speak Irish in New York? This is just recently, I was watching a YouTube video of Kneecap. They were sitting in a bar, and it was completely a cappella. They sang this song in Irish. I don't know the name of the song, but it's about a sailor that goes out to sea, and he doesn't know if, because it's very dangerous. He doesn't know if he's going to come back. That's what the song was about. And Kneecap is singing this song. And I'm like, I have to learn how to sing this song in Irish. I just have to. It's my goal now. So that's what set me on this mission now to want to learn the Irish language. I mean, I'm not just going to learn to sing a song.
There's something so special about the Irish language, and it's beautiful to listen to, like when you're singing it. And, for me, when I'm teaching the kids singing in Irish here, we do it phonetically, you know what I mean? But there's just something so special about the Irish language, and I think that's as well. More and more people want to learn, and if you hear somebody singing in the Irish language that you've never maybe heard before, whatever, you're kind of drawn to it. And so for me, I love singing Irish songs at church. Like for me, there's something very sacred, beautiful and special about it, and I always get asked like to do it at funerals and stuff, and I sang it down in St. Patrick's Cathedral, and several churches all over New York or whatever. But there's just something so special, and my granny would have taught me a few of my Irish hymns, Asgaelga, and again, people will come up to you afterwards and be like, oh, I never heard that song before, and where did you learn how to sing that? So there's an interest. People then are interested, just like you say, you hear somebody sing it. Like some of the kids would hear some famous people, like as you said, you know what I mean, sing it, and that might interest them, and then actually,
it's a spark.
Really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a spark, and I'm telling you, I'm going to put the link in the podcast of the Kneecap video that I saw. Great, if I could find it, I'm going to put that in there. But also, if you could send me maybe some of your links of you singing or playing the tin whistle, and we'll put those on the podcast also, so people could, It's all about promoting Irish culture. That's really my podcast. It's anything that touches Ireland in any way, whether you're from Ireland or you're from America, Australia, it doesn't matter. I want to sit down with people like yourself, or anything that touches, like next week I have Molly, we're going to talk about the Irish language.
And I think so many people in the New York area, and abroad, so many people are doing so many wonderful things to promote our Irish culture and heritage, and that's what's, keeping it alive as well. And for so many, I have a lot of American friends here who grew up playing Irish music, and they're very dedicated in the promotion of our Irish language and our music and our song, and they do a lot of work for Ceolthú Éireann out here, and Anne-Maria Costa, she is also a music teacher. She has her own music school. You should actually get in touch with Anne-Marie to do it.
I actually, so I'm indirectly, I'm in touch with her.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, I am going to have Anne-Marie. She's friends
amazing.
with Debbie Lynch, was my daughter's Irish dance teacher.
Oh, that's right.
I've met Anne-Marie before because she's performed at the recitals.
Yeah.
So I have met Anne-Marie before, but I am going to get in touch with her.
Yeah. And there's so many more, like Anne-Marie, my other friend Niall
Joni Madden, I actually also got in touch with Joni.
Yeah. There's so many Irish musicians, but yet it's such a small community as well. And I think everybody is just doing such a great job at, promoting.
Well, it's all of our jobs. It's all of our jobs to promote.
Exactly. We're all doing our own little bit, our own little thing. Everybody has, aside from Oh, wait, now my battery is running low. Okay, I'm just good. Aside from, doing our best to promote, everybody, has their daily lives. They have an outside job of that, you know what I mean? And, life is busy for everybody, but I just think it's so great when you see so many people doing such wonderful things, coming together, working together. And as I say, I have so many friends out here in that circle. Niall Mulligan is a fiddle player. I have I'm very blessed with the friends that I've met here since I moved to New York. I mean, I have so many friends that I play with. John Walsh, my buddy, he's a guitar player. Um, just so much. Fiona Smith, her kids, I've been lucky to have had them. Her daughter in my music school, who's also a sean-nós dancer. Her son plays the fiddle. I'm probably, just leaving out so many people, but
It's
there's so
you
many
know
people.
the I've had a similar experiences just being on the fire department. The camaraderie within the fire department is
Yeah,
it's on a level that nobody can understand really. The fire
right.
department, police department, even the trade unions, all the all around New York City, boss, all the big cities. A lot of Irish came in there, and a lot of them are firemen and police officers, and I think initially, as my podcast is growing, I think initially those are some of the people that are will be attracted to the podcast, but the love of Irish music has always been there, and it's something that
Hmm.
I've seen since the day I got on the fire department. Where on Sunday mornings in the firehouse, the Fordham radio station is playing Irish music throughout the house. Like that. That's it really it sets a tone, for the people who have that
Yeah, and I
that
think,
affinity.
as you say, the camaraderie and everything, and everywhere you go in the world, you just if you have the love of Irish music, you're going to meet people. I'm blessed with all the people I've met here. Another one of my buddies, Sean Rowan, he's a beautiful singer. I met him when I first moved out here, and we sing a lot together in church and.
Mm.
I haven't seen him in a while, but he does a lot of the masses and stuff like that. He's awesome, and there's just so many great people. You know what I mean? But
Do you remember Frank Patterson? He's passed
yes,
now. He was a
yes,
famous tenor, right?
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
we opened up for him at Carnegie Hall two different times. So I got to play at Carnegie Hall
amazing.
as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's
That was
yeah,
pretty cool.
it's as you say, like as well, the experiences for these kids that it brings the opportunities.
It does.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that especially like the older kids as well. At a certain age that they lose interest, which is understandable or whatever. But when they have all these exciting opportunities to come and they want to do it, and I love seeing my older students now starting to do gigs. Like I just think it's
Mm-hmm.
great. Some of
Mm-hmm.
my students did a gig yesterday on St. Patrick's Day. Another one of my students, she was upstate singing, did her first gig by herself for like 2 or 3 hours, Maureen, and it's amazing. I love to see it. I love to see them going out and getting gigs.
You mentioned a couple of kids that as they get older they kind of fade away from it, but I think what happens is they'll come back into it
They'll
once
come
they hit
back.
a certain
Yeah.
age. That kind of happened to me with the bagpipes. I was gonna
Mhm.
learn when I was younger, and then then you discover girls, and now it's a whole different thing. You
But
play
I
what? You
don't
play
think
the
as well.
bagpipes? No.
I
But
think,
later on in life it changes.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think for a lot of kids as well, it's not like, oh, I hate this, I don't want to do it anymore. Here, like school takes over and they're in sports and running and track and swim. And, college here is so expensive and they have to, get these scholarships to get into, like, it's very different here, the way school and the education system is here. And it's, the more that they do, I get to try and enhance their chances of getting scholarships. But as well, I get inundated with requests to write references for all of these kids that are going off to college. And, it's so impressive for them to have all of these. Um, experiences that they've had through music and singing on their resume to send into college. Like it's great, you know what I mean, that they've traveled,
Yeah.
you know, all over America and internationally with their music and singing. It's great.
Yeah, it's great that you're doing that. That came up with when I interviewed Debbie Lynch from the Irish Dance School. She's always writing these letters, and she said that she heard that a lot of these colleges, the admissions officers, when they see Irish dancer, that the paper goes on the top of the list. They want those kinds of girls, that, or I should say, boys and girls that dance, the Irish dancers, because there's a certain discipline in it and a dedication and everything, you know, and they like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would think it would be the same with the Irish singing and musicians.
Well, it's impressive, you know,
It
and
is.
you know that you can represent then whatever college you're in, you know, join the choir, join the dance team, join the Gaelic Society, and you can bring a lot to the table,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean, through your music, your singing, or your dancing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dawn, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank
You're
you.
doing a great job with promoting this, and you have a great personality for it. So I think it's a great thing, and hopefully it would be great if we had more people like you doing these types of things. But I really appreciate you coming on the show today,
Well, thanks for having
and
me.
we definitely have to get together. I haven't seen you in a while, so
I
we'll have
know.
to.
Family reunion is on the
Yeah, we'll
cards.
do a family. Actually, I am thinking about doing a family reunion
Great.
out here. So if we could do something local, it would be great.
Yeah,
You
it'd be
know.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
All right, Dawn. Well, thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
I really appreciate you
You're
coming
very
on and
welcome.
taking the time. And maybe down the road we'll do another podcast. We'll do
Absolutely. Bring some
part
friends
two
on
or
this time
something.
with me.
Yeah. Great. Thanks again,
Thanks.
Dawn.
Bye.